Today we are going to discuss a couple of things. The main thing is how you can prepare your clients before talking to a lender, and how that will help avoid mortgage bombs, number one, but number two, how it'll help you in this market. I am feeling it, as you probably are, but less and less purchases are coming in because the inventory is so light, right? And I've actually, if you've taken our mortgage milestones class, you know about the WISE approval. And I've had agents lately call me and say, are you still doing a WISE approval? Are you still getting your files pre-underwritten, like underwritten approved? Because they're asking, because they need an edge in this market. They said it's, there are 10, 15 offers on one house within an hour. And how do you set yourself, separate from the other 15 offers? So that's why we decided to do this Straight Talk 30, just to discuss how you can get your clients to that next level of pre-approval pretty quickly out the gate before you even take them out looking. Do I need to share my screen, Gina? Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I am going to do that. Yes. When you have a borrower that is ready to get pre-approved, the best thing you can do is to not just say, oh, I'll have my lender call you, but it's the lender's going to take an application and you need to be prepared with this documentation. Can you guys all see my screen with the big 6? Yeah. So if you setting them up like that, they won't not expect it. They won't think, oh, I can just take an application and get a pre-qual letter and be done. They will know that they're expected to get this documentation together. They'll have it all ready. I'll be able to confirm their income and assets right away, and be able to give not just a pre-qual, but it will say they've been pre-approved. They've gone through the review of, and I'm not talking just I'll review, but an underwriter will review their income, assets, which are typically the mortgage bombs. Like when a problem happens while you're in contract, it comes from the borrower not disclosing, write-offs that they have, or, overestimating their income. Like this has happened a lot, where the client says, oh, I make, $20 an hour plus, $10 an hour additional in tips. Well, with COVID, and them being out 6 months or 5 months, they're saying what they have earned in tips now, but I have to dilute the tip income since, January 1, and about 3 or 6 months of it, they didn't receive any tips. And so that's taken away from their income, which then it makes their debt to income ratio off. So at pre-qual stage, I'm just asking those questions. If they're submitting these big 6 items, I'm confirming it right there and knowing how much I can really count. So if you're memorizing, if you want to take a picture, this is a great thing to text a client. Say, hey, here's a mortgage application. You just go to ratewisemortgage.com. Apply now is right there, or you go to the app and you refer the client. Many of you use that already. But if you're saying, if you've taken my classes, Cody and I kind of joke about this, but I always compare the lender as the dentist, right? We're the dentist. We're like a have to. You're like Disneyland. You're their friend. You're like, they want to talk to you. So if their friend is giving me heads up to be prepared for this, to provide this, they're going to listen to their friend. If I say it, I'm like, you're annoying, or, oh, I don't want to supply conditions or whatever. But if you're saying this is what has to happen, then it's already done. The client's already uploading it, and it'll just give you a much stronger approval. Cody, when you have a listing, how many how many offers come over with a pre-qual letter versus an underwritten pre-approval?
Yeah, so can you hear me okay?
Yep.
So obviously it depends on the property and the price point and stuff, but a typical listing that I will experience for that kind of median home price will, especially now, will get 4 or 5 offers in on that. And in my experience, almost always they're just a pre-qual. The lender hasn't actually verified any of these income and asset documentation, and so those offers all look very much the same.
How, because I know that obviously you drink the Kool-Aid of the WISE approval. I mean, you don't even, it's not even an option with you and your clients. What's the approach that you take when you're putting in an offer for a buyer of yours, when your buyer has supplied these items and you have a stronger pre-approval? Like, how does that speech go when you're talking to the listing agent? Because I know
Yeah, so
your record is, what percent is your record to get offers accepted?
yeah, so let me just back up just a little bit on this. So right now, realtors, at least in my experience, what the challenges that we're facing right now are that it's hard to get offers accepted. And then when we do get offers accepted, then we're seeing a lot of lenders in this business right now can't meet the timing. And so for me, this big six that you have up on your screen now, this is something that I have a conversation with the client right in the beginning, because if I don't, then they think that all of these things need to come later once we're in contract. And if I can get them to supply to the lender these things in the beginning, then I'm really solving both of those problems, both of those challenges that we're experiencing right now as realtors. And so the first one is that it makes getting offers accepted exponentially easier. And then once the offer is accepted, we have a shorter escrow time and it's more smooth, and we have an easier approval. And so the transactions are just more solid, and they happen on time. So what I share in our CE class is that the average offer acceptance rate in Las Vegas is 22%. About 1 in 5 of every offer gets accepted. My offer acceptance rate is in the 90s. I keep very close track of this. I don't remember exactly when I looked last. I think it was 94% or something like that. But my track record is really high because I'm setting the stage in the beginning on these items with my client from the beginning.
So you mentioned the timing, and it's becoming more and more difficult for lenders to meet a 30-day close of escrow. And I'll admit right now, I have been kind of letting agents know, write the contracts for 35 to 38 days if they're at pre-qual stage. So which does not set you apart, but it's just there were 11 million mortgage transactions across the United States, and in the last 90 days it has changed to 55 million mortgage transactions. So it is impossible to hire quickly enough and train to meet demand. It is so, but it also impacts the other vendors that are included in a mortgage that you don't even think of, like, or that you don't think about as it's always, oh, the lender's slow. Well, the title company has 5 times the volume. The appraisers have 5 times the volume. The homeowners insurance companies have 5 times the volume. The HOAs have 5 times the volume that they're asking for demands. So all of these, other industries are delayed as well. If you
Kari,
can, yeah,
can I mention here? So like
yeah.
realtors who are new to the business that haven't been through some of these cycles, they tend to think that the reason that a seller's market is a tough market for a buyer is just because of price. And that's the obvious one. So there are lots of buyers out there. The sellers are getting lots of offers. It drives the price up. But it's more than just that. The it seems like all of the steps in the escrow are also harder and take longer. It's not just the lending side of it. So for example, you're more likely for there to be a tougher negotiation on the request for repairs. When it's a really tight seller's market, these sellers are sometimes telling buyers, I'm not willing to fix them because they don't feel like they need to. The buyer doesn't really have leverage on them for that, right? The other big problem is that the properties aren't appraising. So even if you get an offer accepted, sometimes the appraisal comes back and the appraisal is short. So now you've got another negotiation there. So you combine all of those things together with COVID making it more difficult to get your loan approval done, together with those other challenges of having the seller not as willing to work closely and easily and accommodate your buyer. It's just making these transactions harder all the way around. So maybe in a buyer's market, not collecting the big six up front, not doing that little bit of work for the huge benefit later, maybe that's okay. But in a seller's market like we're in right now, I don't know how you can even be competitive if you're not explaining these things to the borrower and helping them get them into the lender so the lender can verify these things and you can get to an approval much faster than just hoping you're going to get it later once you're in contract.
Yeah, I think well said. When I have a pre-approved borrower, I am able to tell that agent, yeah, write a 20, 25 day close of escrow, write a shorter loan contingency because we're already approved. And it just that timing alone is setting them, they're just different. They're different than the other offers. I can't say that confidently with just a borrower that's pre-qual, that's like pulling teeth to get stuff in from the borrower. Um, plus it avoids those mortgage bombs that we were talking about, just the timing increases. And I think honestly, the realtor looks like a rock star and like that they know what they're doing when they say, this is what you need to have, this is what you need, this is what to expect. This is why it will set us apart. When you're this is a tough market, but this will set you apart. It'll help in our negotiation. It'll help in our timing. It just I think it increases the credibility for any agent that explains that out. You always describe it, Cody, as you're figuring out what makes them tick, and you're building trust with the client, and just now you sharing that kind of knowledge just keeps building the trust more and more. Any questions on this, or any experiences with the WISE approval? Or I don't think this is a difficult thing to memorize. 2 months bank statements, 2 years. It's basically income and assets. So if you can memorize it or take a picture and share, I think and send it to a borrower, I think it'll set you and your borrower up way better.
Sometimes we as realtors and also clients look at a list like this and they think, oh, this would take a while. But if you really look at what those things are, for most people, that's pretty readily available, or it can be obtained fairly quickly. So to me, in this business, one of the things I'm always asking myself to try to improve my offering to my clients is, where do I get the most bang for the buck? So for a very little effort of getting those things done with my client in the beginning, I get this huge reward in so many ways. And so the investment is so small relative to the return that, I mean, to me, I'm an ROI kind of thinker, and the ROI on that is huge. So, that's why I was encouraging you to share this as a subject with realtors, because I see this as somebody who mentors and coaches lots of realtors and who's also active in the business and dealing with buyers and sellers all the time. I just see these things there it's like low hanging fruit. That's an easy solution. And I don't see very many realtors actually doing it.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, thanks for coming on, guys. This is a short one. We knew it would be. And if you have a buyer that wants to get pre-approved, reach out to me. We'll take care of them. Stay safe. Go golfing this weekend. I am. Tomorrow morning. Palm Valley, 8:30. Bye all.
Thanks for always being willing to share with us, Kari. We appreciate it.
Anytime.